All right, we are back on sports, and before I get started with all the sports, because we have a lot of sports to talk about this week, let me say this now, all right? I have to address one of you fans that was in the comment section last week, and you said something to the point of, well, fuck sports, talk about SEPTA. Okay, I get it. You want me to talk about SEPTA? Look, obviously, for those who don't know, here locally, because I only briefly mentioned it last week, but here locally, SEPTA has pretty much taken our city hostage, all right? And it's still sports-related because it has affected a number of people not being able to do certain things, all right, when it comes to doing sports, traveling to go play basketball, traveling to play football, stuff like that. So it has hurt the sports community locally here a lot because of SEPTA. Now, for those who don't know, as of today, SEPTA is going off a strike. But if they continue till tomorrow, that means that it'd been, a week? It'd have been a week they'd have held this city hostage. That's how I say to hold the city hostage. Because for those who don't know, during this time, all right, when people, you have to understand, there's kids that couldn't get to school. There are, people who can't get to work, who were too poor to take an Uber. Because for those who don't know, there were some people who were saying, look, for as much as it would cost me to get to work, as they rely on SEPTA, it would cost them possibly $100 a day in Uber. They couldn't make up that difference. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, SEPTA screwed those people who were extremely poor and could not make ends meet. That's right, because they want more money, so we're talking greed now. You also have people who were, and for those who don't know, all right, who were technically dying, and you call the ambulance, and it's an emergency, and they're rushing, but then the ambulances couldn't get through the congestion of the traffic. There were more cars on the road because SEPTA wasn't running. So that just put people's lives in jeopardy. So because of a strike, all right, SEPTA, you put people's lives in jeopardy and did not give a shit. This is the type of pieces of shit we have here at SEPTA. I'm shocked. I wouldn't say shocked. I'm disappointed, and I'll say this right now. I think Philadelphia is getting soft. I'll say that because back in the day, you wouldn't have seen this type of thing. You wouldn't have, people would have gotten really upset. Like the union boss, the chief, all right, someone would have went to his house and pulled him out of his house and whooped his ass for that. You know what I mean? These days, no one's making a move. No one's making a muscle. Now, if you talk about the sports teams, then they'll probably want to get out there and fight. But when it comes to things like this, no one really cares these days. So you can just do this type of shit and get away with it and everyone's okay with it. Or they're just like, man, that's messed up, but we ain't going to do anything about it. And I say this because, like I said, the communities used to be a lot stronger. So when SEPTA pulled something like this, it was absolutely ridiculous that this would happen. Now, since we're still talking on the local scene, let me explain something right now. For those who don't know, today, because mind you, SEPTA's off strike today, and they'll resume, I believe, operations tomorrow. But let's get something straight here. Hillary Clinton. Yeah. All weekend, you have been posting concerts and trying to get the black vote, us super predators, the black vote to vote for you. I mean, look, just over the weekend, you had Katy Perry in West Philadelphia doing a concert. Do you really think, and I have to say this, do you really think that people in West Philly are worried about Katy Perry doing a concert when they're getting shot out in the street? Do you really think that, that didn't work for you, let's go get Jay-Z and Beyonce. Oh, that didn't work out for you because black people jumping all over you about it. Matter of fact, I noticed that you're going to a lot of churches here. I noticed that you're going to a lot of barbershops here. Yeah, Yeah, look, I don't care who you vote for. All right, I don't. All right, I'm just here for the salt, to be honest. But you have to understand, today, they're holding the city hostage again. Hillary Clinton is going to have some concert down in the center city. All right, it's going to block up most of the traffic because she's having a concert with Bruce Springsteen and John Bon Jovi, and the president will be there and all this other, because the president's going to urge you to vote Democrat because that's what he wants you to do, Because we saw just not too long ago he tried to guilt trip black people into voting for Hillary Clinton. Look, I will put it like this. Like I said, I do not care who you vote for, all right? But if you're trying to make the argument that if you don't vote for Hillary, then this world will go to shit. This country will go to shit. If you don't vote for Trump, then this country will go to shit. You have to understand, no matter who you vote for, it's not going to matter. You want to know why? Because there's a lot of people out there who still don't vote locally. So all the corruption that's still going on in your city or your township or whatever, if you're not voting those people out when it comes to your representatives or your judges, etc., guess what? It's still going to be around no matter who's president. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a big fuck you to everyone. It really is when it comes to these type of concerts being held. I've already had people contact me saying, yo, I'm not going to be at the boxing facility tonight because it's already, stuff's going to be blocked up. It's going to be, busy. I can't get there. They started shutting down the road at 10 a.m. Yeah, don't start till 4, but of course they got to set up, get the concert together, get the Secret Service, get the president, the security and all that type of stuff. So yeah, they're rushing for this one. Disgusting. It just is. You want to know what's disgusting? Let's talk about sports, shall we? Yeah. So they say all these things that are holding the city hostage, that hurts a number of sports on how to get around town and to get to where you have to go. All right? But other things that are disgusting, the World Series. That's right. The Cubs win the World Series, which I don't have a problem with. Like I said, I didn't have really a horse in this. The Indians, whether the Indians won or the Cubs won, I said I was rooting for the Indians to see what happens. But hey, we got a chance to see two completely different teams erase history, to break the streak. And as far as I'm concerned, that was a great thing to see. Right? So congratulations to the Cubs. I don't have a problem with that. My biggest problem with the World Series, Game 7. MLB, we have to have this talk. I don't know what's going on. All right? You decide that in the 10th inning, all right, because, 9 innings wasn't enough, we're going in the extra innings. And y'all saw what I said on Twitter. I was like, I hope this game goes in the extra innings, and it happens. Like I said, someone hit the Buffalo Wild Wings button for me, and it happened. However, all right, at the end of the 9th inning, you can't fucking tell me that you're going to have a rain delay. No, I'm not trying to hear that. Rain delay, that's what you want to pull. No. And I say this due to the fact that we have seen, especially in the '08 World Series, where the Tampa Bay Rays played the Phillies, it was damn near, the weather was horrible out there. Horrible. You had Cole Hamels on the mound out there, and he pitched, 5 innings? And it was bad the entire time. Horrible. But yet, they still went on with this game. So when they did decide to stop the game, a lot of us were upset because you shouldn't have went on with the game because you knew what the weather was going to be beforehand. But it didn't matter. You stopped the Game 7 of the World Series where the Indians actually had momentum. They did. They had momentum in the 10th inning over some drizzle. That's what it was. A little bit of drizzle. Even the commentators had said, people, if you're watching on TV, it's not as bad as it looks on TV. It's not as bad. They were saying this. So technically, you shouldn't have had this rain delay, which makes it very suspect. All right, it hurts the momentum of the Cleveland Indians. So when they come back out, they lay a giant goose egg. All right, now mind you, it's not the only reason why the Indians lost, because it's not. All right, I don't want to take away anything from the Cubs, but what the MLB did there was absolutely horrible, and that was the worst part of this game. Like I said, I didn't care who won that game. All right, didn't care, but the way the MLB went about that, and you should know when it comes to umpire, You know what I'm going to say, right? West. That's all I'm going to say. West. You should know where that's going to go. Buy my country CD. You know where this is going. Right? All right. Like I said, it's very suspect what happened as far as I'm concerned. And I don't appreciate that. Listen, it's been a week. I'm still upset over that. Like I said, not because of who won, but because of the fact of how they went about it. The MLB, listen, a 17-minute rain delay, I'm not trying to hear that. 17 minutes, I'm not trying. That's not a rain delay. All right? That was a stall tactic. It really was. I'm not trying to hear that. So the World Series for me, when it came to that pivotal moment, that killed everything. It did. Like I said, congratulations to the Cubs. And I want to say respect to the Indians. Both teams put on a great World Series. I think that's probably the best Game 7 I've probably ever seen. I'm just going to say that. Both teams deserve massive amounts of respect. But the way those umpires went about, they hurt that. No, I can't have that. That's just another, just a black eye for the MLB, as far as I'm concerned. It just is. However, another black eye on this is the crowd. Because I was shocked to hear the ticket stats. Seriously, I could not believe that the Indians, being at home, had so many Cubs fans there. And then they put up the stats for it. 80% of tickets sold were for fans outside of Ohio. That's crazy. Did you see how many people, look, I understand, people from 12 different countries, whatever, look, people say, look, this is something in history, I probably want to, I want to go see it. I don't have a problem with that part, you know what I mean? But 80% of tickets sold, fans outside of Ohio. Did you see how many fans, Cubs fans, were in that stadium when the Cubs won? It almost makes me feel as though Cleveland didn't come to support their team. That's what it makes me feel like. And we saw, of course, online afterwards, we saw Cleveland fans, well, it wasn't that big of a deal anyway because we're more of Cavs. This is Cavs country anyway. We're not really worried about the Indians. But hey, just an inning ago, you were pro, diehard Indians. Now all of a sudden it doesn't matter because we're Cavs anyway. Like that, that type of fandom is just, and it's everywhere. It's not just in Cleveland, okay? We see that type of fandom everywhere. And these type of people, can you even call them fans at this point? I don't know. But after this game ended, I had said, what did I say to you guys? I said, I'm still sitting here waiting for another inning. I'm just waiting because it didn't feel like it was over. It didn't feel like it was done. Like, it didn't feel like business was finished. It didn't feel like it to me. So I'm just standing there like, okay, so we will get this inning over. I'm watching, the interviews are going on. I'm still thinking, shouldn't they be going back out there to get on the mound? Like, that's what I'm thinking, because I was so into the game that it just felt like this game would have just kept going and going and going, and I would have just kept watching and watching and watching. So as far as I'm concerned, like, this World Series, why I had the Magic, and like I said, it's greatest Game 7 I've ever seen. All right? Like I said, that drawback, that rain delay really hurt. And like I said, even though I gave the media credit not too long ago to talk about the rain delay, now I got to take it away from the media as well. All right? Joe Buck. That's right. We need to have this talk. Now, before the game, I had said, you know what? I don't want to hear Joe Buck. And I was really hoping that petition went around that Bob Uecker would replace Joe Buck. Especially for this Game 7, Indians at home. I would love to see that. They didn't do that, though, did they? No, because the MLB wouldn't do that. They also wouldn't let Charlie Sheen throw out the first pitch. That's right. MLB also killing dreams and making things more fun than what they could be. No, you can't have that. Now, with that said, the reason I have a problem right now with Joe Buck is because we've seen this over the past. I've shown you this in videos where people constantly want to use the AKA. That's right. We've seen ESPN steal it from me. Remember, Matt Nahagan admitted it to me, because he was the station manager over there at one point for ESPN. All right, we've seen them take the YouTube Nation thing. We've seen that. And we've seen a number of people that I've put on blast before try to use the AKA and use it wrong. All right? Now, Joe Buck, seems like you got to make the list as well.
Give him the heater, Ricky. Ricky Vaughn, a.k.a. Charlie Sheen, a.k.a. the Wild Thing.
Are you fucking kidding me? All right, let's have some real talk. As if we haven't had enough of it already. All right, let's have some real talk here. Because it seems like, once again, you have these people who want to jump on these trends and do these things and not know how it's done. Now, mind you, I did this before. I remember when I did a comic book video where some fucking loser decided to try and do an AKA and did it absolutely wrong, and Joe Buck just followed suit. So, for those who don't understand how AKAs work, okay, because Joe Buck put a fake name before a real name. The AKAs are supposed to be actually the opposite. I shouldn't have to explain this, okay? Because AKA means also known as. That's what it means, all right? That's what it means. So, you use the real name, AKA, what people would call him on the street or whatever, because he's also known as. That's what it is. So when you start with Ricky Vaughn, then say AKA Charlie Sheen. No, Charlie Sheen's his real name. That's not what he's also known as. He's known specifically for Charlie Sheen. Then you can say he's also known as Ricky Vaughn, because that's the character he played, okay? Also known as the Wild Thing, because that was the nickname of the character that he played, okay? Look, if you're going to be on national TV and you're going to pull this shit, at least do your research and get it right, all right? That's it. It goes to show you that, once again, people are trying to be vultures and don't know what the fuck they're doing. That's what it comes down to. All right? But speaking of more media, I think we need to talk about media some more. That's right. Now, for those that don't know, okay, there's not too long ago, we've had, damn, I don't know if y'all can hear that helicopter or not. But, was it not too long ago, we know the Eagles, yes, we're going to move on to the Eagles. Yeah, because we need to. Over the week, before the Eagles game, all right, Josh Huff was let go. He was released. As we know, DUI, gun charges, possession, whatever, right? That's what it was. So I want you to listen to the media, because ex-Eagles players like John Ritchie have now joined the media, and they want to speak on this matter. And I have to say, I'm going to use John Ritchie here, because I've seen a lot of fans saying, Josh Huff, he shouldn't have been released. And that's really weird you'd say that. So like I said, I'll let John Ritchie talk about this.
He has to be personally accountable here, and I think the Eagles are doing the right thing, holding him to a high standard that he did not meet. He, violated NFL rules on many counts. Just had possession of a substance, an illegal substance, a substance that they test for in the NFL. The laws and stipulations, the firearm laws. He broke a lot of laws along those lines, and I believe that Doug Peterson, as a new head coach, is drawing a line in the sand. And, they've had some instances recently with guys getting in trouble off the field. Probably talked to the team and said, guys, we can't have this. Moving forward, we believe in holding ourselves to a higher standard. There is personal accountability. We will hold you to that. And I think this is the right decision for the team.
Now, there's fans out there who are saying that, players in the past, they've done a lot worse. And I agree they have. But you also have to understand that they shouldn't have got away with it in the past either. So, yeah, you got to make a statement. You got to cut them off. And as far as I'm concerned, all right, just to let you know, Lane Johnson should be gone already. He should be, for everything he's pulled. Also, let's not also forget that Bradham, look, he's on strike 2 as far as I'm concerned. He's dangerously at strike 3. Because, remember, at this point, he's at the tipping point. He should be gone soon, too. Because you assaulted a hotel worker not too long ago. That was strike 1, all right? Then you got caught with the gun, all right? That's strike 2. And you think that, okay, well, these are off-the-field incidents that they wouldn't bleed onto the field because that's what a lot of fans say. But no, if you watched the game yesterday, he couldn't keep his emotions in check and he got a personal foul, didn't he? So it's starting to bleed onto the field. That's right. So, like I said, dangerously close to strike 3. Not only was it Aguilar, he should be close to strike 3 as well, as far as I'm concerned, because you can't say things like, I don't want to, I'm tired of hearing about drops. And then what did you do yesterday, huh? What'd you do? You dropped the pass, didn't you? Okay. This is what I mean. These players have to take responsibility. This game, all right, this game was disgusting. It was abysmal. It was embarrassing. It was. And here's the thing. It wasn't just embarrassing for the Eagles. It was also embarrassing for the Giants. Because the Giants didn't do anything pretty much after the first half. All right? Let's be honest here. But the game itself from the Eagles was horrible. You give up 21 points. Actually, the Giants should have scored again at the end of the half. But the Eagles stopped them. It should have been 28. Or 28-10. It should have been. All right? But the Eagles, okay? The Eagles decided, hey, they're not gonna show up. All right? That's what the defense didn't show up. And it almost made me feel as though, like some of you said, it looked like they just took off the week. Yeah, well, it must be nice to just take off a week when you're 4-3, or should I say 4-4 now? All right. The offense didn't look good. All right. Carson Wentz threw 2 picks early, which he adjusted afterwards. He had over 300 yards passing, no touchdowns, which is kind of odd. But hey, he adjusted, after those 2 interceptions, so he did what he needed to do. Saw a lot of checking down, which didn't need to be called for, but he did start throwing downfield, which we need to see more of. Let him throw downfield. I understand those receivers at times can't get open, so you can only take what you can get. But you have to understand, Carson Wentz again not looking very well. All right, when I say this, what I mean by that is not his performance. Like I said, it doesn't look like he's having fun. We haven't seen much audibling from him, and a lot of you, question that, especially in those 4th down conversions. 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and you don't get anything out of it. And we will talk about that later, because I have a lot to say about that, okay? Just to let you know, all right? But yes, Doug Peterson made the wrong decisions, because if you kick those field goals, what happens? Then you win the game. However, when you do go for the first field goal, it gets blocked, and then, of course, the other field goals you make. So, yeah. Like I said, I want to move on from that situation due to the fact that I will speak about it later, all right? Just later. But you have to understand, receivers did not do anything. The way you have these setups, these plays are so fucking basic that anybody could pretty much burn through them. Really, we're seeing toss right sweeps. Like it's like you've got to be kidding me that we're seeing such of the most basic things. And you think, like I said, it almost feels like Doug Peterson went back to an old '90s playbook of Madden on the Sega Genesis and was like, "That's the play I'm going to use," and that's what he did. Now, a lot of you had said, that Doug Peterson is calling all the plays, which to me tells me that. It tells me that he needs to be relinquished of power when it comes to play calling, and Frank Reich should be the offensive coordinator, should be calling these plays. You've got to be kidding me that Doug Peterson, and I'm really hoping that it doesn't get to this point where it's starting to get power hungry. A lot of you said, the way Doug Peterson is making these calls, that this is shades of Andy Reid. Well, he's been under his wing for so long, this is the same product you're going to get, okay? Except you're with a younger team, a lazier team, because a lot of people like to say the Eagles they suck. They don't suck. They don't suck. Think about it, all right? The Lions game, the Cowboys game, all right, and the Giants game. All those games decided by how many points? Yeah, think about that for a minute. By how many points? No matter the mistakes that the Eagles made, whether they shot themselves in the foot or they didn't convert or whatever, okay? Think about it. How many points did they lose by? I told you in this 6-game stretch, that they were winnable games. And by God, they've been winnable games. The only team that has pretty much blown us out the water is who? Washington. That's what happened. So if you think about it, within this 6-game stretch, all right, I have to say that first off, Eagles, it's embarrassing that you have lost already to all your division rivals. You have. It's embarrassing, all right, to the fan base and to the city. You should be ashamed of yourself with that, all right? But you've also lost by only a couple points. So a play here or there messes you up. You know what I mean? That's what cost you the game. Now, of course, a lot of people say, well, it's Doug Peterson that's costing people the game. You also have to understand he is a rookie coach along with, a rookie quarterback. And a lot of players who clearly have arrogance problems. Defense, why are you celebrating when you're down X amount of points? Seriously, at one point it was 14-3 or something like that? And you're celebrating. The fuck you celebrating for? I'm tired of seeing this. And defense was getting roasted all game. We will come back to that. We will, okay? Because I got a lot to talk about that as well. But you got to be kidding me that this behavior, this bravado, okay, is going to remain intact for the season when you're not being disciplined. Because that's what it is. The team is young, the team is lazy, the team is undisciplined. Which, I had said on Twitter, brings a number of new problems. It does. Remember the last time we had this problem with players celebrating and being undisciplined was what? Near the end of Andy Reid's tenure. And what happened there? Didn't go nowhere, did they? No. That was when near the final stretch of Andy Reid's tenure here, it was looking really bad, wasn't it? All right. Like I said, this is a problem. If you don't get your players in check, whether they're taking PEDs or they're having guns or they're having DUIs and all this shit, we don't need this shit. We don't. It's already bad enough that everyone looks at the Eagles and say, they're a bunch of fucking garbage. They've been garbage for years. They haven't done shit for their fan base. Every time, every season this shit comes up. And then you pull this shit. And then what Josh Huff say? Oh, well, every athlete has a gun. Every professional athlete has a gun. That's your excuse. And then you backtrack from that afterwards. Okay. This is what I mean. The mentality that these players have. You got all the talent in the world. You can play. You have been given a gift, and you have been given the opportunity to do something that you love. Play football for a living. And this is how you act. I still don't understand. Do you not have these player meetings or whatever, rookie meetings still, where you get the rookies together and say, look, this is what you have to watch out for when you're a rookie. You can't act this way when you're a rookie. Hell, you need to have media training when you're a rookie, so you know how to approach, when the media approaches, you know how to approach, to address the situation. You've got to be kidding me that we still have these young men acting like fucking idiots. And if you say, well, yeah, they are young, so they don't know any better. Well, then maybe they shouldn't be in the NFL so quickly. You ever think that? Or we can blame the system itself of the NFL and say they don't give them the tools to prepare themselves. Or even college. You can say they don't give them the tools to prepare themselves. And then some of you would say, well, how can you prepare them when some of them are one and done? They're so good 1 year and then they just leave. There's a lot of holes there, isn't there? Yeah, there's a lot of holes. You can go back and forth with this discussion. And it's one of those things I feel should be addressed. But when you have players who don't want to take responsibility when dropping passes and don't want to hear it anymore. You have players doing DUIs. You have players flat out lying about, oh, I didn't take any PEDs. You got players going around punching hotel workers and carrying on. This is, it's a shitstorm. It is. And on top of it, like I said, not only the defense getting blown out, but then you get these penalties from these refs that don't even make any fucking sense.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Defense number 26. Going down with contact. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
By Jalen Watkins, 26, right there. Yeah, it was a 15-yard completion, 15-yard penalty.
So does anyone want to explain to me where the penalty is? Because I don't see it. I see him putting his shoulder into him. That's all I see. And, some people say, well, he hit him high. So what? It's not helmet to helmet. He put his shoulder into him. It doesn't matter. That's a clean hit. And for you to give us a penalty for it is bullshit, especially when you're not calling penalties on the Giants, especially for fucking blatant holding. Now, with that picture, some of you Eagles fans said, well, that was Connor Barwin trying to do a spin move, and it was failing. It doesn't matter if he's doing a spin move or not. Look at the defender. Look where his hand is. His hand is clenched. He's got it like this, okay? Holding. Bottom line. Doesn't matter if it's spin or not. His hand is clenched. It's across, and it's clenched. That means he's holding him. That's what it means. That's why he's attempting the spin move to get around him, because he's being fucking held. For me, it just feels like there's people out there who really aren't paying attention to what's going on. Or some people really don't know football, but they want to be a fan. Clearly, if you look at it, lineman, his arm, clinched, held. No excuse. It should be called. Because that's the only reason why Eli Manning got out of that, out at end zone. Okay? But of course, no call. The refs have been horrible. And we've seen this week in and week out, have we not? We can always point out what the refs have done wrong. It doesn't matter if it's for our team or the team that we're playing against. Because we saw that against the Vikings, all right? Both teams got screwed when it came to calls with the refs. So it's not just that. The refs have been consistently bad. They have. And they're not being consistent enough to make these calls. Now, if you make the call and the Eagles decide to decline it, well, then that's on the Eagles. But you still have to make that call, refs. You have to. But I guess we should talk about more stuff, about the piss-poor coverage of the defense. Because you've got to be kidding me if you think that this is acceptable in any NFL game. Lazy. Absolutely lazy. What the fuck is that? That's not even coverage. That's just, let me try and ball a guy. Oh, he got away. And then you don't even try to catch him afterwards. You just quit. You quit. You've got to be fucking kidding. This is the type of defense that showed up on Sunday. And like I said, it's embarrassing. As a fan, it's embarrassing to this fucking city. And you sit there and be okay with it. Well, the defense had a number of stops afterwards. It doesn't fucking matter. There's no way. That is. I don't care if you're watching Pop Warner League football. No one plays coverage like that. Nobody. You should know the number one rule when it comes to being a D-back, secondary, don't let anyone behind you. No matter what. You don't let them behind you. And you're saying you did, clearly you let them behind you a mile away. You didn't even try. And yet we're supposed to sit here and we're supposed to support this shit. Like I said, the players have talent, but they're lazy. And they're undisciplined. That's what it comes to. And if you're going to be lazy and undisciplined, then go sit on the bench, as far as I'm concerned. Because you can't win football games like that. 4-4 now. 4-4. Now, let's talk about Doug Peterson, the play call, because a lot of people want to talk about this, about the 4th and 2 and the 4th and 1. So, I'm going to show you a picture of what people had said on the internet, because apparently it made CSN in the post-game show afterwards. Because this type of mentality definitely needs to be addressed. Okay, now this is the stupidity that we have to deal with fans, because now we're talking 4th and 1 and going on 4th down. You're comparing week 1 to week 9. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. Okay. So, let's do this then, shall we? Okay. Number 1, for those who have never played football, because clearly this person has never played football, okay? You take downs when it comes to 4th downs, going for on 4th, or 3rd down conversions, you know what you do? You take them on a case-by-case basis. So yes, if it was, if the formation was right, and it's not just about going after on 4th down. It's not just about going for it, all right? It's about having the best play possible, the best positioning possible, okay, to make sure that you convert that. That's what it comes down to. Okay? It's not just, oh, he went for 4th down, that's my coach. Oh, he missed it on 4th down. Oh, we don't want it anymore. That's not how it works. Okay? You go by on a case-by-case basis. All right? In week 1, the way they were positioned, the way they were lined up, it was the best play possible for success. Meaning, yes, fans are going to cheer for that. Week 9, okay? When they don't have the best things, you've seen it. The first one, you had Carson Wentz bootleg around, and you know he ain't that fast, and yet you went and did that, didn't you? On the second one, the Giants are stacked up in the box, and you run your smallest running back up the gut. You thought that was going to work? These aren't the best plays possible for success when it comes to those 4th downs, 4th and 1 and 4th and 2. Like I said, you take them on a case-by-case basis. Like I said on the first one, when you saw that 4th and 1, they were going to go for it. They should have what? They should have play action, right? Okay, then on the second one, what do? You bring in a bigger back so they can rumble through. And we saw that later in the game, did we not? When he brought in a bigger back and they scored a touchdown, did they not? I'm telling you, this is how it's done. The best play possible for the best situation. But when you have stupid fans who feel as though, oh, well, I just want to blanket everything. Well, week 1 you were saying this, now week 9 you're saying it. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. Especially when you're talking about specific situations like going on 4th down. Or like I said, even 3rd down conversions. Alright? It's not how it works. Case-by-case basis. I shouldn't have to tell people that. But like I said, Eagles fans, you're going to see a number of these people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And mind you, like I said, again, you are being put on TV. Your tweets are being put on TV, and you're looking fucking stupid. That's what you're doing right now. This Eagles game was horrible. It was embarrassing to watch. I'll play this. We play Atlanta. Next 3 games are going to be tough. This is why I said those 6-game stretch, they were winnable games. Pretty much we had to win those games because now you got Atlanta, you got Seattle, and you got Green Bay. And no matter how hard how tough these teams are or how bad they've played, mind you, this week or the week before, you have to understand, as you know, any given Sunday, anybody can rise and they can play well. And I expect each of those teams to play us tough. I do. It's going to be these next 3 weeks are going to be really tough, and then we go back into our division and play them again. So I'm wondering, Eagles, since you lost all the division games in the first half of the season, are you going to get off your asses and win all the division games in the second half of the season? I'm just wondering. Look, what happened yesterday? Like I said, it's one of those things. You know, it's a startup team. You know that they're rebuilding. You know all this stuff. But when you're losing by points here and there, and they're heartache points, you know what I mean, heartache games at the end, and you've seen this time and time again, it almost feels like a rerun you're watching, because how much you're losing by, how the refs, dictate the way they're, making calls, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Play calling, it almost feels like you're watching a rerun of last week. That's what it feels like. Every week it's felt that way for a while now. And like I said, it's one of those things where the 3-0 start really hurt fans, because it hyped them up to the moon, and then it's like, okay, we can do this. You know what I mean? Look, like I said before, the beginning of the season, I told you guys, what did I say? I said, keep it in perspective. Do I feel as though the Eagles can still make 500? It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. I'm not going to bag on them, too much, but when you have games like that, I got to address that. I got to say, look, yeah, you fucked up. You did. You know what I mean? As you know, for a number of weeks, I've been quite positive about the Eagles. This week, I'm not, because of the production that was on the field. Speaking of production on the field, like I said, we'll go there, but I want to move on. Football overseas. Chelsea, production on the field. Gotta talk about it. Production on the pitch. All right. So, you played Everton, and you annihilated Everton. That's right, 5-0. Looked great. Hazard looked great. Costa, of course, looked great. All these players, they look great. The 3-4-3, once again, that I mentioned last week, is looking really well done, and it seems like you guys have it together, and now you are in first place. So, bravo. I like to see that. However, do I think first place is going to stay that way? Maybe, maybe not. There's a lot of soccer left, so I don't think that's going to. A lot of footballers left. A lot of footballer season left. I think you will eventually take losses, and guess what? You'll come back from it. That's how I feel. I don't think that this team is so perfect to the fact that, okay, we're just going to fall back now, and we're not going to be aggressive. We're going to fall back, and we're going to play defense. We're going to counter like Moreno style. And no, I don't think that's going to happen. So you're just going to look for draws at this point. No, these guys are going out there, and they're being aggressive, and I mean early, and I like to see that. Let them play. Conte is the guy. And I also noticed that the media is trying to report that Chelsea fans are just now warming up to Conte. And of course you're just now warming up now that they're in first place, right? Yeah, now you're just now warming up. I told you in the beginning of the season what to look out for, did I not? Did I not? Okay. Unreal. So as far as I'm concerned, I want to say congratulations to Chelsea. They're playing hard. The players are proving that it really wasn't them, that it was their management. It really was. They're proving it every time now. But, speaking of their management, and I'm going to keep taking that dig into Man U. Yeah, Man U, you won. But for those who have not seen what's been going on as of late in the media with Jose Moreno, he's been bagging on not only the city of Manchester, but, or should I say the city? He's been bagging on, it's not the fan base, the players, okay? That's what he's been bagging on. And for those who don't know, he came out not too long ago and he said, I've given these players everything. I know all this, the tactics, the strategy, everything. They just fail me. Wow. Yeah. That's what they're saying. You know, I don't know how Manchester United fans can put up with this, but like I said, this is what? Your first season, half a season in, and he's already acting this way. And you got him for what? 2 more seasons? 2 more seasons? I don't think he's going to finish 3 seasons, to be honest. But if he's acting this way halfway into a season, even halfway if we'll call that, it's absolutely ridiculous. And this is, like I said, this is just the beginning. I'm just letting you know that now. All right? So we will see what happens in the future. I can't wait. I can't. Because even though, like I said, I'm still, like I said, rooting on my team, this season is, like I said, it's very pivotal that I keep a close eye on Moreno after what he has done to my team last season. So yeah, let it happen. Let it happen. But speaking of teams that are still embarrassing or just letting it happen, I have to say that the NBA, Philadelphia 76ers once again, we will get to that in a minute. But the NBA, we need to have this talk. That's right. Because it seems like because you're so early in the season, that you still haven't done anything about the flopping. That's right. Griffin Force flop of the week again goes to the NBA. You cannot tell me that this is okay. And for some reason, people aren't being fined. They're not being warned. It's there. Adam Silver, what's up? Not just the flopping, it's also the piss poor play that we have seen in this season. And I guess we should start this week. This week, last week, all week, the Sixers have embarrassed themselves. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look at this stretch by the Sixers when they played the Charlotte Hornets.
He's 4 for 12 now in his rookie season. Spencer loses it. Former buddy Hollis Thompson with the steal, but he misses the layup. And Thompson hits the deck. This will be 5 on 4 for a while, but the Hornets turn it over. Stauskas, oh my! Covington missed the gimme.
Charlotte's got to make sure.
Jesus fucking Christ! Seriously, you've got to be kidding me. And here's the thing: Eagles fans love to talk. The diehards love to talk about how hard it is being an Eagles fan. Can you imagine? Be a Sixers fan. Can you imagine? At least 4 seasons. 4 seasons. Mind you, we're just talking about the current 4 seasons, all right? We're not talking about in the past, or they're still fucked up, all right? But the current 4 seasons of that. Can you imagine? Day in and day out, that. Come on. Seriously. And I told you, Sixers fans, what did I say in the beginning of the season? If I'm worried about the Sixers season, it's because they don't have any point guards, which a number of you agree we don't really have any point guards, and I need to talk about the fact that you don't defend the 3. They have not defended 3, and I talked to them on Twitter what I say. They didn't do it during this era with Brett Brown. They didn't do it during the Doug Collins era. They didn't do it during the Mo Cheeks era. And he didn't do it during the Eddie Jordan era either. So that's years upon years upon years upon years of not defending the 3-pointer. And if you don't believe me, look at the way they played the Cavs on Saturday. I just want you to see this transition.
I know it looks good, that little fadeaway, but I'd love to see JoJo go straight up and down.
Amon Shumpert, along with Channing Frye, their best 3-point shooters coming in at over 54%. Cavaliers their largest lead at 7. Under a minute now remaining in the first. Dunleavy, as Ilyasova thought he had a charge taken.
It's embarrassing. It's fucking embarrassing. It is. It's to the point where you don't even want to watch anymore. And I say this due to the fact, mind you got Mark Zumoff and them out there. And here's the thing: when you have the Sixers on primetime TV, all right, and they give you 2 different stations, they have it on either ESPN or CSN. I always turn to ESPN because it's less biased. When you got Mark Zumoff out there, and he is constantly, pretty much he's waving a flag for the Sixers, and he only talks about certain things, and everything has to be so positive for the Sixers when they do something right. And I'm thinking to myself, they get paid to do something right. You don't need to keep pushing them up. And they rarely talk about how bad they do. And the thing is, they always try to sugarcoat things when it becomes bad. You have to understand, if you look at those players are just like, whose man was that? Whose man was that? Yeah, it's embarrassing to watch that. And like I said, when it comes to doing something wrong, but still, if it goes well, they're going to promote the shit out of it. I'll show you an example right now. And I also want you to pay attention to fraud-ass fans who can't even throw up the 3 sign, just to show you.
Laying there, knee banging in the painted area. Love helping out on Rodriguez. Rodriguez, a healthy play, and down it goes for Sergio Rodriguez.
Are you fucking... Come on, stop. First off, the fraud-ass fan, did you see him? He was like, oh, there you go, I got the 3 ball out. Because he just couldn't just flash the 3. Nah, he had to make sure his hands was right so that he could put it up. Are you serious? This is the type of crowd that you have at the Sixers game these days. It's unbelievable. And the shot itself, we just talked about this last week, did we not? When he tried to shoot from half court before, and it didn't go to fuck in. All right? And now he's doing it again. It almost tells me, this is either 2 things. Either the coach did not tell them about this, all right? Brett Brown's not telling them to stop this bullshit because it's not the best option at the time. It's not. Or they simply don't learn from the situation, all right? As you can see by the defense, they're not learning from shit because I showed you before. Remember, before the beginning of the season, when Boston had all those wide open looking threes and they weren't knocking them down because they're not a 3-point shooting team like that. But as you can see with the Cavs, they were knocking it down with no problem, right? Okay. Or the Sixers just don't give a shit. It could be that. They don't give a shit. Because I put it like this. You cannot keep making the same mistake over and over and think it's going to fucking work. Because he knocked down that one shot, everyone gets fucking hype. And you know what that does? That encourages them to keep shooting from that distance. That's what it's going to fucking do. Alright? Here's the question. Fans, because you were so... I have to ask you. Did the Sixers win? No? They didn't win? But they only lost by a point. And if you haven't realized in a number of seasons how many close games the Sixers have blown, don't you understand that they find a way to lose? You understand that, right? So it shouldn't become a shock. So when everyone on Saturday reacted this way and was like, oh, they almost won. Oh, I can't believe they just lost. And the crowd was devastated and all this. I'm thinking to myself, this shit is running the mill. I see this every night. Obviously, you're not watching. I don't understand where this team is going. Like, 4 seasons in, 4 years in, and we're still doing this bullshit. There's trade talks right now with, with Toronto that, Noel, he's going to be gone. There's talks, so we'll see what happens with that. I don't know if they've been squashed or not, but we will see. And I put it like this. If Nerlens is traded, then you know what that tells me? Your process has been shot to shit. It already has been. But remember, you got this process so that you can get these pieces. And again, already, trade talks about your pillars, your pieces, you're going to get rid of. Again, like I said, we will see what happens in the future. We will. But the fact that trade talks even came up is absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, the Sixers need a point guard badly. They don't need just a point guard. They need a number of solid point guards. You need a point guard and a good backup. You don't have either. All right? The Sixers aren't playing defense. And that's another problem that you're seeing. Like I said, Brett Brown, I don't think like I said before, I don't think he's going to be here to see this entire process through. Personally, I don't think he's a good coach. Like, these are small things that you can fix now, and you choose not to. I mean, you know how many fans already complain that you let these teams go on runs and you never call timeout? Never. Oh, just let them go through it. Let them work through the growing pains. No! Be a smart coach and call fucking timeout. Let them know what's going on. I mean, should we talk about near the end of that Cavs game? 9 seconds left in the game. Rodriguez runs up the court. Mind you, your point guard runs up the court, never calls timeout. Brett Brown has to run across the floor to call timeout because his point guard isn't doing his damn job. Mind you, the point guard and the coach are supposed to be at the hip, all right? They're supposed to be in constant communication. The point guard is your floor general. Like I said, Rodriguez is not great for this team. Personally, I don't like him as a point guard. I don't think he's a good basketball player. I feel that way. Some of you said that, when he was overseas, he was playing really well. Maybe he just can't adapt to NBA ball, which is very possible. But when you're missing simple cues, like, hey, there's 9 seconds left, coach wants me to call a timeout so we can get the last play, and you run up the court, there's a problem. There's a problem. I don't understand this. These are things that are easily remedied, easily fixed. If you noticed before, remember he wasn't even trying to hold the ball last time. It's become a pattern now. You're not holding for the last shot. We're going to chuck it up right now and give the other team time to come back. I've shown you these things week after week after week. He's a horrible point guard. I don't understand what people see in this dude, and I can't cheer for him. I can't, because he makes too many mistakes. And like I said, that also reflects on the coach, because the coach isn't telling him, hey, this is what you're doing wrong. Fix this. And he's still going out there and doing the same thing, making the same mistakes, a repeated process. I want to move on from basketball. I want to move on from the fucking Sixers. I want to. I want to talk about Pacquiao versus Vargas, which really shouldn't talk about that much because this is the last part of the video, but because Pacquiao pretty much destroyed Vargas, knocked him down in the second, and just beat him. Just flat out beat him. Now here's the thing. That's not really what I want to talk about. Because the way Pacquiao beat Vargas and won the title, now they're resurfacing the talk between Mayweather and Pacquiao. That's right, rematch. Now, here's the thing. Of course, Mayweather was there at the Pacquiao fight, all right? And that's what people thought. It was a tip-off to say, hey, this is going to happen again. That's why they asked Pacquiao. Pacquiao says he will not rule out a rematch, and he doesn't want to rule out because he wants that rematch. Personally, I don't think there should be a rematch. Not because Pacquiao can't fight, or Mayweather can't fight, but because we saw how embarrassing the last one was. Not only was Pacquiao outboxed, that's not really what the problem was. The problem in this was both guys were paid. You saw it. Both guys were paid, seriously paid. Pacquiao didn't come out with no killer instinct. He came out to take selfies with people before walking to the ring. Like, these are the type of things, there's no focus. These are the type of things that make boxing fans, I won't say purists, I'll just say fans in general, mad. You're supposed to be in the zone. You're supposed to be ready to fight. For you to be that comfortable to be like, hey, you look like a guy who just got paid millions and millions of dollars. Hey, I'm going to take this picture. Hey, yeah, will you take a picture with me? Yeah, it doesn't matter if I lose because I'm already paid. That's what it felt like. And all those people who paid for that fight felt that was a slap in the face. We saw what happened afterwards. We saw how many lawsuits come around, and people were being sued. They were trying to sue Pacquiao because of it. Like, no. I personally would, look, I'll play this. If the money's there, it's going to happen because that's what this is about, money, all right? But boxing fans, I think they're over this at this point. I think they're over it. I really do. The fight was, I'll play this, the Vargas-Pacquiao fight, regardless how you slice it, you kind of knew that Pacquiao was going to win. It was like, okay, whatever. That's how you felt. Because you already know that Manny is still at a high level when it comes to boxing. He is, all right? But to have this talk about Mayweather-Pacquiao rematch, no, let's not revisit that, please. Let's not go there. And that's the media at work asking. Because every time a fight is over and the winner, they want to ask if you want to call out somebody or something like that. We've seen it time and time again. So, let's not revisit that. But since, they're two biggest names, they're really going to do this, keep bringing it out there. How many times you see Floyd at a fight and they constantly ask him, are you going to keep fighting? Are you going to keep fighting? Exactly. This week coming up, we have UFC coming up. McGregor versus Alvarez. Should be a good fight. Also this week we have Danny Garcia, local boy. That's right here, Danny Garcia. As you know, boxing. He's going to be boxing at the Leah Center. That's right. So that's a warm-up because for those who don't know, the fight has already been signed. Danny Garcia will fight, Keith Thurman on March 4th. Hopefully it doesn't get pushed back anymore, but it's been signed. It's going to happen March 4th. So that's going to be a super fight. So as you know, this Danny Garcia fight coming up, next week, well, this week I should say, because now we're on Monday. This week coming up, on Saturday, it's going to be a tune-up fight for Garcia. That's what it's going to be. And then you get the big fight, a couple months down the road. So we will see what happens. Also, let's not forget, the week after that, you got Andre Ward versus Kovalev. So that's going to be a good fight. I'll talk about that more next week, all right? So, I'm pretty much done for today. I'm very disappointed with what I've seen this week, especially with Philly sports. I didn't even touch on the fucking Flyers. That's right. Didn't even touch on them because they've been embarrassing too. Didn't even want to talk about it. That's right. So, anyways, I will talk to you later. Y'all be safe. Next week, we back on it. I'm out.